This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so far we have created customer master, vendor master, and then we started posting vendor related transactions. We posted vendor invoice, we posted vendor credit memo. We also assumed that whenever you are posting any credit memo to a vendor account, we need to ensure the respective invoice number is given inside the credit memo as invoice reference. So that whenever you are making payment for the invoice, your invoice always comes along with the credit memo so that the net amount is payable to the vendor. Now let us talk about payment related transactions to the vendor. Payments to vendor or payments from customer. It's the same whether you're making payment to a vendor or you're receiving payment from customer. You need to ensure you're not making or you're not recording the payments just like that. Your payment transactions will have to be strictly with discipline maintained in any organization. Now here we need to understand payment modes. If you talk about payment, in general, on what basis, on what mode we will be receiving payment. Point number one, you will be receiving cash payments. Point number two, you will be receiving bank payments. If you're talking about cash payment, if you're talking about cash payment, we must ensure that no manual entries are allowed in cash accounts. When you're talking about cash payment, you need to remember one point. No manual entries are allowed in cash accounts. This is to ensure that you will perform cash reconciliation on a daily basis. In order to perform cash reconciliation on a daily basis, there must be no manual entries. Every cash entry must be recorded using petty cash or cash journal functionality in the system. Right? All cash entries must be posted using petty cash or cash journal. Now, cash is subject to daily reconciliation. Clear? Whenever you're talking about cash payment, whether your cash payment receipt or cash payment made, we must not post any manual entries. This is clearly or this is strictly to be posted using petty cache functionality or cache journal functionality. Your cache is subject to daily reconciliation. On a daily basis in every organization, there is something called cache reconciliation. Am I correct? Anybody heard this cache reconciliations on a daily basis?
Yes, sir.
Right, so whoever is operating with the cash in any organization, they are normally called as cashiers or accountants or petty cash accountants. These cashiers or accountants, what they will do, they will check the opening cash balance at the day end and they will check the closing balance at the day end. Sorry, opening balance at the day beginning, closing balance at the day end. Now this opening balance and closing balance, they have to physically count the cash and they have to get it authorized by one senior person. Maybe their manager or somebody will have to physically count the cash, verify that the system cash closing balance and your physical cash closing balance are the same. Once they verify this, they will approve that the cash reconciliation is completed or cash balances are matching. This is a daily activity in every business organization, right? In case of any mismatches, they will have to find out why the mismatch is happening, why cash balances are not matching from morning to evening, whether there is any duplicate transaction happened or to any customer or any vendor had short paid or we overpaid to a customer is all we have to verify. To perform all this, to monitor your cash incoming, cash outgoing thoroughly, you must not entertain or you must not record any manual entries in cash. All the cash entries must be recorded using petty cash. Now you have a dedicated screen for operating petty cash. Let me show you the screen. FBCJ. If you go to FBCJ, this is what the screen you will see. Anybody saw this SAP screen before? Petty cash,
Yes, sir.
right? This is called as your cash journal screen. In this cash journal screen, your cash transactions will be recorded. Strictly only in this screen, your cash entries are to be recorded, not in manual recordings. No F-02, no FB54 cash entries. If we pass entries apart from this screen, it is not possible for us to do the cash reconciliation. So strictly we will use this screen for cash transactions so that your reconciliation becomes easier. If you see this, the moment you come to this screen, let's say I am an accountant, the moment I log into this screen, I am able to see what is the opening balance. Whatever the opening balance you see here, which means this is the yesterday's closing balance. Yesterday's closing balance will become today's opening balance, and whatever the entries that you are recording, if you see there is something called plus opening balance plus cash receipt. Whatever you are receiving in form of cash, whether it is from customer or any other source, you will be recording as cash receipt. Down below you will have a tab called cash receipts. When you record the entry in cash receipt, it will keep on adding the amount here, and the number of transactions that you are recording will get updated here. Let's say if you have 10 transactions in cash receipt, you will find number of entries as 10 here, so that it is easy for you to understand how many entries you have recorded, how many entries have actually happened in the physical transactions. Once you ensure that your transactions are 10 and you have recorded 10 entries here, you will ensure the total receipt amount is matching. Once your total receipts amount is matching, system will automatically adjust closing balances. What it will do? It will take your opening balance, it will adjust the receipts, and it will update your closing balance. Similarly, check receipts. Normally we don't use check receipts in the petty cash. Normally we don't use check receipts in the petty cash. We will only use cash receipt and cash payment. In case if you are depositing any check and you are withdrawing any check, not when you're depositing, when you're withdrawing a check in cash, you will have to put cash account. So you'll have to put the check in the cash clearing account. There you will be using a check receipt account. When you're using check receipt, this is again a plus opening balance plus total cash receipt plus your check receipts. It will accordingly update your closing balance. Finally, whatever the payments you are making, your petty expenses or claims, reimbursement, vendor payment, any payment that you are issuing from your cash will be recorded in total cash payment. Here also it will update the number of records, how many entries you have posted. All those entries will be posted and it will accordingly adjust your opening balance plus receipt minus payment. It will give you the closing balance. At the end of the day or at any given point of time, whatever the amount that you are holding physically with you must be equal to this petty cash screen closing balance. Okay, whatever the cash balance you are holding with you, let's say if you are holding 1300. Now on your screen it is showing 1300. Physically when you count cash from your drawer, you must have 1300. Not even 1 rupee extra, not even 1 rupee less. It has to be exactly the same. If you are finding any excess amount, if you are finding any short amount, you need to do a reconciliation why there is a mismatch. Okay, this is a mandatory activity on a daily basis in every organization. Once you perform all these things, you can perform two things here. Point number one, you can give receipts. If somebody is giving you payment in cash, anybody who is giving payment in cash, they need a receipt. Am I correct? Correct? Huh? You're going somewhere and you're making payment. Do you need payment voucher or payment receipt or not? Do you go just like that, make the payment or come back, or you need payment voucher or payment receipt?
You need a receipt.
Right? Receipt is mandatory. No customer or no user will be okay without the receipt. Let's say when somebody is making a payment, they want the receipt. This receipt is something that you will have to customize. You will have standard format, standard receipt format. According to your client, you will have to customize it. With the help of a app, you will be customizing it. Let's say this is an entry that you posted, for which if you want to take the receipt, down below you will find an option called print receipt. If you click on this print receipt, always remember, whenever you get an option, a pop-up like this asking for you to input output device, always make sure you put LP01 even in real environment. This is a dummy printer because you clicked on print. So system is expecting where to print, which printer I need to select. If you put LP01, this is a dummy printer. It will give you the output, but it will not send the output to any printer. But when you're actually working, you will configure a printer in your system. Your IT team will set up the printer parameters. Then whenever you click on print, you will see a paper printed out from the actual printer. But if it is not your intention, you just need to select LP01. Put LP01, click on continue. Like this, you will get the receipt. Now, if you see here on the top right side, you will find IDES Holdings AG. This is your SAP related thing. And this is the receipt voucher. Now, this receipt voucher will be customized according to your business requirement, according to your client. Let's say if you're working for Samsung or Dell, here you want to have Dell. Here you may have receipt confirmation. If you want to put any other text information, you can add this here. For which again you will have to work with technical consultant, in short ABAP. For an ABAPer to create this, you will have to give a functional specification or FS document. Now this kind of things are called as form developments or smart forms. Whatever the printout receipts that you are printing from the system, these are called as smart forms in system. So you would have heard something called RISEF objects. So even in your interview, people will ask you, have you worked on any RISEF objects? Anybody heard?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right? In RISEF object, it has a different meaning for every letter. WRICEF. In that RISEF, this is part of your F forms. This is a F, which means smart form. If somebody is asking you, tell that you have created a smart form for petty cash receipt vouchers or petty cash vouchers. Clear? Then they might ask you, what did you do in petty cash voucher? Then you'll have to tell. First, before you answer that, you must know how your petty cash receipt voucher looks like. This is how it is looking. Let's say if you're working for Dell, anywhere your voucher is showing Dell. No, right? Your voucher is nowhere showing Dell, which means here your client wants to have Dell logo. Now, do we need to change the logo here or not? Correct? Huh?
Yes, sir.
Now, to change that logo, you cannot change from your side because this is a technical thing. There has to be a program code written for which you will have a transaction code, smart forms. This is the T code wherein your technical consultant, your ABAPer will design a smart form. Okay, if you see any samples, now right hand side you are able to see the empty page. Yes, no?
Yes.
Alright. So here, this is how your technical consultant will design a form. Whenever you're designing a smart form, always make sure you know the size of the paper that your client is printing. You know the size of paper that your client is printing. Let's say your payment receipt voucher, in some companies or in some businesses, you may get payment receipt voucher in A4 size sheet. In some organizations, it may be smaller one, correct? Not A4 size. Yes, no? Not every
Yes,
company
sir.
will give you A4 size sheet as a printout to you, right? As a confirmation or whatever. Based on that paper size, you will have to write the functional specification. In short, that sample paper also you need to collect. That is only to ensure that the size of the smart form that is designed on the system is exactly the same of the size of paper that you are actually printing. Now, if you see here, you will find all the measurements 50 centimeter, 100 centimeter. When you have the physical smart form with you, option number one, you will hand over that physical smart form to the technical consultant. This technical consultant will take a scale, measuring scale. He will measure the height, centimeter and all. Accordingly, he will design. He will freeze the size here. And once he freezes the size here, now on the paper, it has to print like this. This is your A4 size format. In this, it has to print. Now, if you see IDES, where is IDES coming? Is it coming on the top left, top middle, top right?
Top right.
This is coming on top right. Where exactly this has to come? This has everything will have to be tested. So what your technical consultant will do, he will ask you where should I place this logo. If you tell you put it on the left hand side, he will put this logo on the left hand side. For which he will block some space here. If you see, you see something here, some boxes you will be able to see here. Okay, if you see, there are different things that they have attached here, and for everything what information to be printed there, they will put another option here. This is not something that you will be working on, so they will be working on all these things. You need to give logic for this. When you're writing a functional specification, for all this you are going to give a logic. Okay, if you see here, this is talking about receipt currency. If you double click on this, this is coming here on the paper. On your printout, this is where it is coming. If you take this one, this is where it is going to display on the paper. If you click on this, this is where it is going to come. What information should come here? Whether you want a fixed text here or you want the text to be copied from some other place, or if there is any logic. If you are talking about fixed text, this is something called hard coding. When you talk about hard coding, whatever you write in the program, in the code, the same text will appear there, irrespective of the situation, irrespective of the scenario. But if you are giving a receipt to a customer, you want to display customer payment receipt or customer receipt voucher. If you are giving a receipt to an employee, let's say you want to write employee reimbursement receipt, something like that. On what basis you will be differentiating? This is a customer receipt, this is a vendor receipt, this is a reimbursement receipt. Those logics you will have to mention. According to your logics, the ABAP consultant or technical consultant will write the necessary coding to ensure if this is the scenario, this text will be printed. If this is the scenario, this text will be printed. Likewise, everything you will have to document in your functional specification document. Now, when it comes to your interviewer is not focused on how your smart form looks like, whether you have really written a functional specification or not is nobody going to verify. What they are going to check is whether you know how functional specification is prepared or not. for which whatever the example you take, it is your choice. There is no rule that you have to work on a complex functional specifications or you need to work on simple functional specification. The intention from your interviewer is only to check whether you're aware how a FS is prepared or not, how you will get the requirement, how you will understand the requirement, how you will give functional specification, what kind of issues, challenges you face in it, how you are going to test it. Until you get the requirement, from the requirement or the object delivered to the client or customer, what happens in this development is what they want to know, where they're only going to verify whatever the points that you're talking are relevant points or not. Whether you take this or you take any other example, the process will remain the same. If you wanted to talk about a functional specification, you need to have a requirement. First question that they ask you is, for what requirement you have written or you have given a functional specification. This will be your immediate next question if you tell you worked on functional specifications. No rule that you have to work on this functional spec or the other functional specification. You can take any one. From your RICEF list, WRICEF, you take any one. If you wanted to take this functional specification, you can explain the same thing. But you must know how your form is currently looking like, what changes you need to make. These points will have to be in your mind, exactly the same points you speak out in your interview. Nobody will tell you're wrong. Everybody will tell, okay, good. Because what they want is only the process steps. And what you have to focus is also only on process steps. They will not ask you, show me how your cash journal looked like or tell me what you did exactly. Nobody is going to check at that detailed level. They only need to verify whether whatever the process, whatever the steps you are telling are genuine or not. Clear? So when you look at these standard forms, you will have to look at, you will be taking a sample printout of this. You will be taking a sample printout of this by clicking like this. Click on print. Now it has given spool request has been given. Now any spool that you will be generating will go to SP01. From now on, different things you have to start remembering. Whenever you want to print any PDF from the system, you have to generate a spool. To display any spool, you have to go to SP01 transaction code. If you go to SP01, it will give you spool number and it will give you created by, who created, which user created, on what date it was created. We know it is created by my user ID. I have created this today. If I click on execute, you will get like this. If I click on execute, you will get like this. You need to tick this, which means select like this. Click on display here, display content. When we click this, it will display whatever we have seen on the petty cache screen on another window. So first time certain things when you work on your server, they will take a little time. From the next time onwards, when you open those things, they will get opened quickly because in the backend, they will read different tables to extract the data. So this will get displayed here. Now, when you're actually working on a project, what you will be doing, you will be giving this form to your client. There are two options. Option number one, you may be working on site with client location. Option number two, you may not be working on site with client location. Are these two scenarios possible?
Yes.
Correct? Option number one, you will be working in client location. Option number two, you will be working remotely. Maybe you're doing work from home, or you're doing work from your office. Your client is somewhere else, your office is somewhere else. In such a scenarios, you will have to give this smart form, the standard smart form PDF to your client. To give that standard smart form PDF to your client, you'll have to convert this into a PDF. This is taking time. Let me cancel this. Create session. Or let me log in again. I think server is down. Just can anyone check if you're able to log in? Yeah, I think it has come. Okay, we are on spool SP01. Run the spool, select this, click on display. This is how your spool will be displayed. Now, if you are working somewhere, your client is some other place, how can they see this? You cannot actually take this print courier to your client. Am I correct? Because your client may have SAP access, they may not have SAP access, especially when you are implementing, your client will not have system access until you move to quality system. Only when you are doing UAT sessions or user acceptance testing sessions, only at that time your client will get system access. Only the selected users who are part of UAT will have the system access. Till then they don't know, they don't have the system access. When they do not have the system access, how can they give you the requirement? This is how I want to have my form. They need to see the form. Option number one, if they have this pool, they will be able to see this. But this form you will be generating from which system? You have three systems in your landscape.
Development.
You have three systems in the landscape: development, quality, production. When you are developing this, or when you are working on this initial requirement, you will be working on development client or development system. Am I correct? You will be working on development system. In short, you will be taking sample printouts from development system. Whether your client or users will have development access or they don't have.
They don't have.
Development system access is not given to any user. Development access is strictly with the consultant. Your client or your users will only have the access to quality system and production system. Now this change you have to initiate in the development system, which means this may not be available in quality system. So what you have to do, you have to extract the data from development system. You have to give the sample output to the client in the PDF format, for which you need to extract the PDF. For that, you just need to go back, because from here you cannot give a PDF, because this is not a PDF format, for which even in case if you want to convert any spool into a PDF format, you just need to select here spool number, go to top spool request. From this pull request, you will get an option called forward. From the forward, you have an option to convert into PDF or to a text format. Our intention is to convert this into a PDF. Click on export as PDF. Now on the desktop, I'll put cash receipt format. Click on save. On this, click on remember my decision, allow the permission. Now this is generated. On your screen, you will find cash receipt format here. Double click on this. If you double click on this, you will be able to take this printout. Now this is A4 size format. Correct? Now this PDF is what you are going to share with your client. What your client will do, he will take this physical printout. Your client will take this A4 size sheet or whatever the PDF you have given. They will print this and they will write with pen or pencil, whatever. They will take a pen. They will write if they want logo on the right hand side or they want logo on the left hand side. Let's say they don't want logo on the left or on the right. They want logo at the middle. So they will put something like this here, logo. They'll write point number 1, logo to be appeared here on the middle. When they put that logo to be appeared here, they have to give you the logo. They have to give you the logo. Either in BMP format or JPG format, you need the original logo, not the screenshot logo. They need the original logo, because if they give you screenshot logo, when you print from the system, it will be blur, it will not be clear. So you need to ensure that the original logo is given, not the screenshot. Sometimes what they will give, they do not know. They simply go to snipping tool, whatever the logo they have, they will give you logo like this. Now you are not going to accept this as a logo because this is a snipping shot, and this will not be clear when you print. When you print the original any document, the logo should look like the original one, for which you need to have the original format, not the screenshots like this. Clear? You will be taking the logo from that. All this information will have to be gathered, will have to be collected as a functional consultant. It's not that a technical consultant will gather the requirement from the user. They will not have any interaction with the users. As a FICO functional consultant, you have to get all this requirement, document everything in the functional specification, hand it over to the technical consultant. Then they will develop the program to generate this form where you have to test and then confirm. For you to test and confirm, first you must know what is your client requirement. If you are clear with your client requirement, accordingly you can test, you can give corrections to the technical consultant. Logo is to be middle. Let's say it is not exactly in the middle, it is appearing towards left more. You need to ask your technical consultant to move the logo a little right side, come a little down, a little up. All these things you'll have to tell until you see everything is appearing properly. Line layout, everything you need to ensure. When I say line layout, if you see, is every text starting at the same position, or this is here, this is here? The formatting is correct. Everything is starting from the same line, correct? You're able to notice the things?
Yes, sir.
So,
Right? All these points you have to notice when you're testing. Otherwise, your client is going to look at everything. He will tell why company code is starting from this. No, I want this to start from here. I want to maintain a space between this and this. All these minute points your client will give you as feedback. You need to correct, you need to rectify everything. Now, if you tell your technical consultant to bring or remove this space between payment and cash journal, if this goes up, everything at the bottom will also go up. Same like your resume editing. If you format some line in your resume, next page also formatting will get affected, correct? If you change on your resume, if you add a line, if you deduct a line from your resume from page number 1, Data in page number 2 also is amended, correct? Some of page number 2 content will go to page number 3, heading will be here and there. Yes, no? Noticed any time? When you modify
Yes.
something, the other lines, everything will get affected. Same thing will happen here. So we feel that it's only bringing one level down. It is so easy for us, but when it is done from the technical point of view, they have to ensure the total page is not unchanged except that line shifting to the second row. Again, you need to test, ensure that everything is proper. This date, your client may say that no, I don't want date in DDMMYY format. I want YYMMDD format. I don't want separator dot. I want separator slash, or I want to have minus as a separator. They might ask anything. They may say that receipt confirmation should appear in the middle. There should be a underline to it. And here they might say net amount. It is only showing net. You please add net amount here. So here it is showing TSP plus input tax. We don't take any taxes. You remove the tax from here. Or they might say don't put input tax. You put some other name, VAT or any other text. All this information they will write on this paper after taking the printout, and they will scan that paper to you. They'll do that scanning of the paper, whatever the content corrections they have written, they'll send that scanned paper to you. By looking at the scanned paper, you have to understand the requirement, give the logic to the technical consultant accordingly. Clear? On any FS, let it be for any requirement, this is what you are going to do. First, you need to understand what is the requirement. Accordingly, you will be giving functional specification, or you will be explaining the requirement to the technical consultant. Okay, this is one point that we need to remember from cash journal related to your functional specifications. Now let's go back to cash journal screen FBCJ. One
Hello,
point
sir.
from your, yeah.
Sir, this same step we can explain in interview.
Which one? Same thing?
Sir, this yes, sir. This form.
Yes, you can explain.
Yes,
This is a
sir.
valid requirement. You can explain.
Sir, if a interviewer asks a question, how you write a functional spec, what will be the answer?
That's what we discussed now. So far, whatever we have discussed on the PDF format, whatever the changes that you have, right? For everything, you
Yes.
need to write the functional spec. Functional specification is all about the format of your smart form. If you're talking about this, how your smart form should look like. That is, you will be giving an output.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
This is your output, right? Now, in this output, you have lot of content.
Yes, sir.
Now, here you have a logo. Now, in your functional specification, you are going to write the business process, something like for every petty cash journal or for every cash receipt or cash payment, business will be providing receipts to the users or the customers, for which we need to develop a smart form to generate the cash receipt vouchers. That one or two lines you will put as business drivers or business process. After that, you will be writing the detailed logic. In the detailed logic, you will be writing step by step. Point number one, logo. You will put logo to be appeared on the top middle of the form. In bracket, you put logo is attached. So there only in the Word document, you can attach an object. Correct?
Yes, sir.
So in the Word, what you will do, you will put point number one, logo, company logo. You will put logo to be appeared on the top left. Let's say your client sometimes will have multiple company codes. Generally, any client will have more than one company code. Let's say your client has 3 company codes. Now for 3 company codes, there will be same logo or 3 different logos.
3 different.
If you have 3 company codes, there will be 3 different logos. Now, when there are 3 different logos, then how system should print? How will system know that I have to take this logo or I have to take the other logo? You need 3 logos. You need to give a logic. Based on the company code, you change the logo. Based on the company code, you have to change the logo. You need to mention all these points in your functional specification, and then you need to attach all the 3 logos. What a technical consultant will do, they will accordingly write a code. If the company code is 1, logo 1 will be attached. If company code is 2, logo number 2 will come automatically. You don't need to do anything, because when you're printing the cash journal, your cash journal contains company code. Here you will see the company code, correct? If
Yes, sir.
company code is 1, this logo will come. If company code is 2, another logo will come. Accordingly, you need to mention. If you don't mention, the technical consultant will not write the logic for it. So for technical consultant to write the logic, you have to give that logic. All the logics that you are giving to the technical consultant is documented in FS. In order to design this, whatever you need, only those points will be there in the functional spec, nothing beyond that. Right? FS, if somebody is asking you, you will be able to answer this question only if you have a clear requirement in your mind. If you have no clear requirement in your mind, it is not possible for us to explain in your interview. You may be talking something, but whatever you're explaining may not be convincing enough to the other person. They may not say you have knowledge on FS. Nobody wants your experience on FS. They only want your proper knowledge on FS. If I want you to work on something, how you are going to work on a FS is what I want to check. Now, another point that you have to remember here is everybody knows that we do not have genuine experience or sufficient experience. Either we are less experienced or no experienced. Am I clear? This is, everybody agree with me?
Yes, sir.
Your interviewer clearly knows this. Either you have less experience or you have no experience on SAP FICO. But everybody knows that you are trained on SAP, you are aware of SAP. You have knowledge on SAP, you practiced SAP. Accordingly, you have to take your examples. Don't take complex scenarios and all. Nobody wants it. If you are telling me complex examples, scenarios, I have no other option. Whatever the things you are explaining, I need to ask questions from your explanation. Why did you do like this? What was the requirement? Did you face any challenges in this? I need to ask same questions from your points. So it is in your hands what kind of requirements you are very clear with, what concepts you are good at. Only those points you talk in the interview. Right? Because these are some things that you are explaining as part of your experience, what you have done in your previous assignments, projects. Make sure you talk the things that you are more comfortable with. Clear? Huh?
Yes, sir.
This,
Sir,
this is,
yes, sir.
go ahead.
Sir, you first.
Okay. So once this is done, this is one functional specification that you can remember. Second one, in the same thing, we talked about there is a daily reconciliation for petty cash. My system is slow, I'm not sure. We talked about there is daily reconciliation for petty cash. When we talk about daily reconciliation, who will do this reconciliation? The user who is processing the petty cash or the user who is responsible for posting the cash entries will do the reconciliation. This reconciliation will have to be approved by some other person, correct? Is that right? If I am the cashier, I will tell that the today's closing balance is 1,300. Now, will you blindly put signature, okay, 1300 is closing balance, or you will check 1300 physically, you will check 1300 on the system and then you will approve it. What will happen? Just by my words you are going to approve it, or you will verify and then approve it? What happens?
Sir, first verify, then approval.
First verify and then approve. This is whatever we are talking will exactly happen in every organization. There is no change. Your company may get changed, but whatever the process we are talking about the petty cash, the same thing as it is will happen in every organization with minor changes, company to company. But otherwise, this is the key business process that happens on every organization. Same points you have to talk to your interviewer or to anybody who asks you about petty cash. Let's say I am the cashier, I have to display this to the key accountant or the senior accountant to approve this petty cash as closing balance. For that, you will have to take a printout. Top, you will find print cash journal. Can you see this? Yes, no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right, you have to click on this print cash journal. When you click on the print cash journal, this is what it will display. It will display all the transactions posted on that particular date. If you see the date range here, 1602 1602, it is showing 1602 1602, and this is giving you the information. This is giving your total expenses, total receipts, and the closing balance as 1300. They will verify all the transactions. They will tell, okay, this is correct. And here you will be putting a signature prepared by you. Here the person who checked will be putting a signature. Here the person who confirmed will be putting a signature. They have to sign. They have to physically record this document. They'll take this printout, they will sign physically, and they will document all this in a file as part of daily cash reconciliation. This daily cash reconciliation is part of your audit checklist. Your internal audit, your external audit, whatever is happening in your organization, they will be verifying these letters or these things. Your auditor might select any one date. Let's say, show me the cash reconciliation on 16th February. Let's say this is your 16th February, 16/02/2023. So they will tell, okay, show me the cash balance on 16th March, or sorry, 16th February. You have to go to the system, open the date 16/02, show them this. They will tell, okay, 1300. Now, who verified this cash? Are you sure that you really had 1300 on this date, or you had no amount but you are still simply showing on your accounts? No, this is actually there. This was reconciled, verified by somebody. Who verified it? Where is the proof of verification? Then you have to open your file. You have to show these things. This printout will be taken, signed by the person who prepared, verified, confirmed. This printout format from the file you will be extracting and showing to the auditors. Clear? This is what normally happens in every business. Now, when you're talking about the business processes, these points is what they expect from you in your interview. When you talk these kind of points, the other person will get a feel, yes, you worked or you are aware of what happens in a process. Otherwise, to configure petty cash, this is not going to take more than 15 minutes. Configuration of your petty cash is just a 15-minute activity. Testing is 10 minutes. In short, your cash journal is not going to take more than 30 minutes to learn. To learn petty cash, it's a 30-minute activity. But this 30 minutes learning, if you talk in your interview, if you talk to anybody, nobody approves it. Nobody will tell you know the cash journal. Because there are only 3 transaction codes for configuration, 1 transaction code for posting. Let me show you the configuration screens. First one is your FBCJC1. If you come here, you need to maintain a number range. Let's say I'll put a company code to maintain a number range. Now everybody knows how to maintain a number range. Agree?
Yes, sir.
Correct? Now anything new in this that you do not know how to maintain a number range? You just need to understand what number ranges you will maintain on what basis you will put the number range. Apart from this, on the system, if I ask you to do this setting, you will be able to do it or not. You can put anything. Let's say I'll put 0, 1, I'll put 1 to 100, something like this. Anything new in this that you are not aware of? No, right? This is one setting. How long this setting will take? 5 minutes to maintain a number range, or 1 minute? Next one is FBCJC0. This is another setting that you will have to maintain. Here also you are not going to do anything. You will decide one cash journal number and GL account, which cash account to be mapped to your cash journal. In short, even in real time, you will copy one cash journal like this. You will change your company code, like whatever. You will put a cash journal code, 4-digit alphanumeric code. You will put the cash GL account, which is created, and then currency, in which currency this cash is maintained. You put a description and then save it. How long this will take? Another 1-2 minutes. Next setting, FBCJC 3. Now here you will be ensuring for your company code a form is maintained, so that whatever the printouts that we have seen earlier, those printouts will be enabled if you maintain these forms here. If you don't maintain the form, system will not be able to generate. So by default, the standard forms will be available, but you know that you have to customize this. When you're customizing it, you need to put that relevant program here. Otherwise, system will print standard programs, standard formats, but you have configured it, you have got it developed by the technical consultant with relevant changes. Those corrected forms you have to assign in this screen. Next one, FBCJC2. This is your business transaction. What kind of transactions you are going to create? Like your cash sales, cash receipts, bank deposits, vendor payment, reimbursement, whatever it is, those things you'll have to maintain. Those things your client will tell you for what purposes your cash transactions are used. Once you get that list, you will be able to configure this. With these 3-4 settings, you will be able to use your cash journal. But to do the configuration, it's a simple task, but the intention is you have to ensure that you know the process why cash journal is used, why we use cash journal entries only from the cash journal screen, why no manual entries are allowed. In case if somebody is asking you, can we pass manual entries in cash account, your answer should be no. You're not supposed to pass manual entries in the cash account. Strictly cash entries must be posted from petty cash or cash journal screen. Right, we will start the cash journal screen configuration from tomorrow onwards. Next one, you have bank payments. So here bank GL accounts will be allowed to use only with house bank concept. In system, you have to allow bank GLs to be used only with house bank concept. Without creating house bank, we are not supposed to use bank GL accounts in the system. Without creating house bank, you are not supposed to create bank accounts, or you are not supposed to use bank accounts in the system. Why we need to create house banks? Why you need to create house banks in system? For what purpose? With bank, what do you do any reconciliation for bank, or there will be no reconciliation for bank?
Will be this.
There is something called reconciliation or BRS, bank reconciliation. For you to do bank reconciliation in SAP, you must create house bank for bank. Your bank, every bank account that you are holding, every bank account that you are operating must be created as a house bank in SAP. Only if you create bank as house bank, it is possible for you to perform bank reconciliation or your payments with automated functionalities. Like you have something called APP, automatic payment program. Correct? Huh? Now your APP, your bank reconciliation, BRS, these two are mandatory topics in your interviews. Without APP, without BRS, there will be no interview. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
For you to understand APP, for you to understand BRS, or for you to practice APP and BRS, house bank is a must. Without house bank, we will not be able to perform this. In short, every bank account that your company is operating, every bank account that your company or your client is operating, each bank will have to be created as a house bank in the system. For every bank account operated by the company will be created as house banks. Okay, so in order to create a house bank, you need to know the bank account details. In order to create a house bank, we must know the bank account details. This bank account details will be provided to us by the client. So there is something called bank master. Bank master will be provided by the client. When we talk about bank master, let's say you are working for DEIN or Dell India. Assuming Dell India is working with three banks, let's say HDFC Bank, Citibank, SBI. Assuming your company is holding accounts with three accounts, HDFC, Citi and SBI. In how many banks they have the accounts total? In how many banks they have the accounts? Three banks, correct?
Yes, sir. Correct.
They have accounts in three banks. Now, is there any rule that in HDFC I should have only one account or I can have multiple accounts within HDFC?
You can have, sir.
Right? Within HDFC, we can have multiple accounts. Similarly, within Citibank, I can have multiple accounts. Within SBI, I can have multiple accounts. Is this statement correct? I can have multiple accounts within a bank. Correct? Now, HDFC is not there only at one location. HDFC is there at so many places in India. Now, wherever I am creating account is my choice. I may create an account in Hyderabad. I may create an account in Bangalore. I may operate another account in Mumbai. Likewise. So, no surprise, I may have 20 accounts in HDFC. Possible or not? Can I have 20 accounts in HDFC? Possible or not possible?
Possible, sir.
I can create or I can open 20 accounts in HDFC, maybe in 20 different locations, 20 different branches, 20 different cities, or in any ways. I have 20 accounts in HDFC. Let's say I have 5 accounts in Citibank. I have 12 accounts in SBI. Overall, how many accounts you have? 20, 25, 35, 37. How many you have? Total 37 bank accounts. Common or not? Possible or not for any big organization? Possible or not? 37 bank
Pos-
accounts is common number or it's a big number?
Big number.
It's quite common.
Common number.
It's a common number. If you're talking about a company, you're not talking about a small entity. If you're talking about SAP, you have to think from SAP point of view only. Small companies cannot afford SAP. Only the big companies will go for SAP. If it is a big company, they may be a multinational company operating with single company code or multiple company codes. They may be spread across different locations within a country. 37 bank accounts is quite common number. Okay, let's say if you want, you can take 20 accounts, for example. This 20 bank accounts, if you have, this is a quite common number for every company. So you need to see, when you talk about a company, companies which are using SAP, not small companies. If we take, or if we think small companies in our mind, we may feel why we need 27, 37 accounts, 1, 2 accounts also are sufficient. But in that way, our thinking is wrong. You have to think from a company which is using SAP. For a company which is using SAP, this 30 bank accounts is quite common number. So assuming you have 37 bank accounts with your client, now when you talk about bank, you have to verify the bank balances. When you verify the bank balances, do you verify 37 bank balances in one shot, or each account wise you have to verify the balances? What will happen? What will happen? Do we need to verify the bank balances at each account level, or for all the 37 accounts in one go I can verify? How you will verify bank balances? All in one or one by one?
All in one, sir.
All in one. Let's say you are operating, let's assume that you have two bank accounts. One bank account in HDFC Bank, another bank account in Citibank. One bank account in HDFC, another bank account in Citibank. Now, if you wanted to verify what is your account balance, whether it is correct or not, how do you go? How do you verify?
I'll go with the respective banks separately.
You go with respective bank, but what will you check from the bank?
Balance, account balance.
How do you get that account balance?
From account number,
Account
yes.
from account number. From the account number, the way you get the balance is called as what? What do you take from your account to see the balance? You will give a missed
Account
call, you get a
Report,
SMS with, what is
yes,
that
sir.
report called?
Statement, bank statement.
That is called as bank statement. That is called as bank statement. Now, when we are talking about our personal banking, we either call it as mini statement, you call it as detailed statement. But when you talk it from a company point of view, when you talk it from an organization point of view, there is nothing called mini statement or normal statement. It's only a bank statement. From every company point of view, they will also take the bank statement. This bank statement they will verify with your bank GL accounts to ensure that the balance as per your bank statement, balance as per your bank GL are aligned or are correct. Now at the end of every month, this is the financial requirement, reporting requirement for every company. According to any accounting principle, you must represent your available bank balances. You must represent your available bank balance in your balance sheet. Bank account is asset or liability?
Asset,
asset,
Bank account is an asset. Now assets will be represented in P&L or balance sheet.
balance sheet,
balance sheet.
Assets will be represented in balance sheet. When you're talking about bank, bank is an asset. Now in your balance sheet, you have to represent bank. In your balance sheet, you have to represent bank. Against bank, let's say you put HDFC Bank. I am mentioning that I have some 50,000 in my HDFC Bank account. When I release the financial statement, in short, when I release my balance sheet or when I prepare submit balance sheet to anybody, whoever is looking at my balance sheet, they know that my bank balance is 50,000, correct? Whoever is looking
Yes.
at my balance sheet, they know my bank balance is 50,000 because in my balance sheet it is showing as 50,000. But do I really have 50,000 in my bank account? Anything that you are showing in your financial statement, let it be your P&L or your balance sheet, there must be a supporting document. Is that correct? Those who are working from accounting? Anything that you represent in your P&L, anything that you represent in your balance sheet must have a supporting. If you tell your bank balance is 50,000, what is the proof that you have 50,000? What I need to show? Can I show my bank GL account screenshot?
We'll show the statement, sir.
You have to show the bank statement. If you're talking about HDFC Bank, if you're talking about the balance sheet for the month of May 2023, you have to ensure May month bank statement is extracted from the bank, or bank will give you the statement for May 2023. In May 2023 bank statement, whatever the closing balance that you will see, this closing balance should be exactly the same in your bank account, in your balance sheet. This is again mandatory requirement for your reporting point of view, irrespective of any accounting principle, irrespective of any ledger, leading, non-leading, any company, small, big. This is a mandatory requirement in every country. In order to make sure your bank balances are properly represented in your financial statement, you must perform bank reconciliation statement. BRS must be performed on a monthly basis for every organization, whether it is small, whether it is big, whether they use SAP, they don't use SAP. This is the common or basic accounting requirement. Now, if we are talking about bank statement of HDFC Bank, we're talking about bank statement of HDFC Bank. Now, you may be doing a lot of transactions on a daily basis, correct? When you're doing a lot of transactions, you may be receiving, you may be paying either in form of check, either in the form of transfers. Am I correct? You may receive checks, you may issue checks, you may receive transfers, you may initiate a transfers. Agree? Are these four possible scenarios? Check payment, check receipt, transfer received, transfer made. Possible or not from a bank point of view?
Possible, sir.
Now, whenever you issue a check, let's say if I issue a check today, is this check deducted from my bank today itself, or it will be deducted when it is presented in the bank?
When it is presented at the bank.
If I give a check, immediately in my account book, in my accounting, I am writing, I have issued a check for 100 rupees. I will minus 100 rupees from my bank balance. Am I correct? Correct?
Yes, sir.
But the person who received it will have to go to the bank and deposit the check to get the money. Am I correct? You
Yes,
have
right, sir.
given a check, and the person who received your check will have to go to the bank, deposit the check, only then he will get the amount. Whenever he does that activity, amount from your bank account will be deducted. Until then, your bank account balance and your balance according to you are different. Correct? You gave a check for 100 rupees. The moment you gave the check, mentally you have decided your bank balance is not 50,000, it is 49,900. Agree? According to you, your bank balance is not 50,000. Am I correct? Because you have given a check for 100 rupees, you have decided that your bank balance is reduced by 100. But in your actual bank, when you pull the statement, it will still come out as 50,000. Because this check is not yet presented in the bank. Now, considering this scenario, is there a mismatch between your manual calculation and bank calculation? Are they same or there is any mismatch?
There is mismatch, sir.
There is a mismatch. You are considering 100 rupees, but bank is not considering 100. Why bank is not considering that 100? Why bank is not considering 100?
Check is not dropped in the bank.
The check is not yet presented.
The check is not yet presented or check is not yet deposited in the bank. Only when that check is deposited or presented at the bank will consider that and it will deduct or add accordingly. Now, these kind of mismatches are quite common in every bank account. In order to make sure your bank balance, whatever you are showing on the balance sheet is correct, you must perform BRS. You must perform BRS or bank reconciliation statement. To do bank reconciliation statement, you must take bank statements on a weekly basis, on a daily basis, or on a monthly basis. And you have BRS functionality in SAP. You have two type of BRS. One is electronic BRS, the other one is manual BRS. Whether you want to use eBRS or MBRS, manual BRS, the functionality or the prerequisite is the same, which is your house bank. For whatever the bank you want to perform BRS, that bank must be created as a house bank in the system. In short, if you want to use bank accounting in SAP, you must create house bank for each and every bank account that you are holding. Which means when you are creating a bank GL account, when you are using a bank GL account, don't think only from the entry point of view. First, you have to think about which bank GL account are you creating. Let's say for posting any transaction, I want to use Citibank account. When I'm using Citibank account, am I creating only Citibank account or am I clearly specifying Citibank main account, Citibank incoming account, Citibank outgoing account? There is something called bank main account and sub account concept. I'm not writing purposefully. I will write all these points in the next session. In Citibank or in any bank, you will have main account, sub account concept. You have to have one main account for every bank account. When I'm talking about bank account, I'm not representing bank GL account. I am representing bank account number maintained or operated in a particular bank. Let's say in the first example, we have listed HDFC Bank 20 accounts. When we talk about 20 accounts, do we have 20 separate account numbers or not? Correct? If you have 20 accounts, do you have 20 account numbers or only a single account number?
20 account numbers.
You will be having 20 account numbers. These 20 account numbers will be given to you by your client. Now, how you are going to map this? Now, according to you, these are 20 bank accounts. For every bank account, you have to create a house bank. If you have 20 bank accounts, how many house banks we have to create?
20.
If you have 20 bank accounts, you will have to create 20 house banks. Now, you will be making payments to the vendors. Making payment to a vendor is a normal activity or anything special activity in every organization?
Normal activity.
Normal.
It's a normal activity, right? It's quite common in every organization. Now, you have to think from a company which is using SAP. Okay, you have to think from a company which is using SAP. If you think from any company point of view, then you may go to unwanted confusions, or you may think from a small company point of view where you may not be able to connect to the point what you are supposed to understand. Think from a big company who is using SAP. They will be having lot of vendors. They will have to make payments on a daily basis or on a weekly basis for huge amounts. Correct? So they may be having huge vendors. Let's say they have around 1,000 vendors and they have to initiate the payments to the vendors as on the payment falls due. On the due dates, they'll have to initiate the payment. For all these payments, do they hire somebody to punch the payment entries manually, initiate issue checks manually, or they will automate the payment process? What they will do?
Automatic process.
They will automate the payment process. When they automate the payment process, they call it as APP, or automatic payment program. So your payments are processed automatically, your checks or bank transfer letters are prepared automatically. This is your APP, or automatic payment. On the other side, you have manual payment also, wherein user will have to go to the system, go to payment screen, select a vendor, put document date, payment date, bank account, profit center, amount, select the invoice which you want to process and all. For each manual payment, it will take minimum 2 to 3 minutes. Correct? For each manual payment, it will take minimum 2 to 3 minutes, because since this is a payment related transaction, sensitive transaction. If you do any mistake, your amount will be gone. You may end up paying to wrong vendor, you may end up paying wrong invoice, you may end up paying wrong amount. So this is a sensitive information which will have to be taken care of very carefully. When you perform this automatic payment program, your automatic payment program is possible only if you have house banks. Your automatic payment program is possible only if you have house bank. For me to process manual payment, I don't need house bank. If I want to create a normal payment manually, I don't need house bank for it, because it's a manual. I am going to put the bank account number manually. System will not take. The way you created all the entries so far, any other GL account, rent account, any debit credit that you have given manually, in the similar way you can create a bank account manually and complete the transaction. But these type of transactions are not allowed, not used in any organization. Every organization will use automatic payment program functionality. The first prerequisite for you to know, or for you to do APP or automatic payment program, is your house bank. Without house bank, you cannot perform automatic payment. Without house bank, you cannot perform BRS in SAP. Clear? Now you may get these kind of questions in your interview which are nowhere related to conflict. They might ask you, why do we need house banks? Can I not perform my business transactions without creating house bank? You can perform, but you cannot do BRS, you cannot do APP. Why I cannot do APP? You must be in a position to connect all the points. Without house bank, you cannot create automatic payment program. Then you may get another question, how my house bank is related to automatic payment program? My APP is all about bank accounts. Then where is the concept of house bank coming into picture? You may get these kind of cross questions from your interviewers. Now these are the questions that I'm talking at very high level, but for your level of experience, these kind of questions will not come. But it is always better you are preparing at this level, so that whatever the questions you get in your interview, you are comfortable, you can easily answer those. Otherwise, for certain questions, you will not understand anything, you will go blank. Right? So keep in your mind, if you want to do any bank payment, house bank is mandatory. Without creating house bank, you are strictly not supposed to use bank GL accounts. That is the reason so far we have not used cash accounts, bank accounts in most of the places. Am I correct? Yes, Ravi, you have a question?
Thanks, Ajay. Uh, let's say that my company code financial book in Indian currency, that is INR, and I have created a bank account in SBI in INR cash. Now, vendor one submits the invoice in USD and he wants the payment in USD. And I have another vendor who submits the invoice in AUD and he wants the payment in INR. So, in this case, my first question is how this will be configured in the SAP system that this vendor needs to be paid in this particular transaction currency. And my second question is from the bank point of view, if do I need to create a separate account for each of the cash that I am dealing with?
No. For your first question, let's say you have vendors who are giving you invoices in different currencies. Let's say you have three vendors. Three vendors are from three different countries. Let's assume one vendor from US will give you the invoice in dollar. Another vendor from Australia will give you invoice in AUD. Another vendor you have locally who will give you invoice in INR. Now, when you are creating any invoice transaction, when you are making any purchase transaction, you can purchase in any currency, you can record the invoice in any currency. When it comes to your payment, this payment is in line with the agreement with the vendor. You will be having an agreement with the vendor stating, you will be giving me the invoice in dollar, but I will be paying you in dollars. Or sometimes your vendor might tell, my invoice is in dollar, you can pay me in euros or you can pay me in Australian dollars. At the time of payment, you have to ensure in which method you are making the payment. Normally, your check payments are not allowed with cross countries. If you are within India, you will be able to make check payments. If you are making payment between two countries, check payment is ruled out. You have to initiate bank transfer. Correct?
Yes.
When you are initiating a bank transfer, you need to check with your vendor in which currency they want the payment. Now your vendor, if he says he wants the payment in dollar, for any bank transfer, we need to update vendor bank account in the vendor master data. When we create vendor master record, we will have to update vendor bank account information. So your vendor might have multiple bank accounts. He might give you INR bank account information, dollar bank account information, AUD bank account information. This bank account information will be created in the vendor master record. So this is called as partner banks. We call these bank accounts as partner banks. In vendor master, there are three bank accounts. Now, at the time of booking the invoice, you will have an option to select partner bank type. While booking the invoice, you can select this invoice will be paid in INR, this invoice will be paid in dollar, this invoice will be paid in Australian dollar. Now, most of the payments, especially any foreign payments, will be made using automatic payment program. Or even if you make the manual payment, what system will do, whatever the partner bank type you have used at the time of invoice, when you are making any bank transfer, you need to generate the transfer letter either in form of DME or in a manual format, normal payment format, payment form format, or DME form payment format. In either of the cases, whatever the payment bank information you have given in invoice, that bank account details will come. Now system will read in which account, in which currency payment has to be made from your invoice. And if you do not mention which currency to be used in the invoice, by default the system will take first currency or first account currency from the vendor master. This is to your target bank account. Your source bank account is something that you have to select manually. From which account you have to initiate the payment is always manual input from your account. Normally what will happen, if you are sending funds to dollar account, you will be initiating fund transfer from dollar account. If you are sending funds to AUD account, you will be initiating transfer from AUD account to avoid the currency conversion charges or exchange rate charges. When we go ahead.
But I have only one account in SBI that is in INR. I need to pay one in USD and another one in Euro. So will my bank will honor this request?
Yes, bank will honor the request. They will deduct, they'll send dollar and the AUD to your supplier, but that AUD dollar equivalent INR will be deducted from your account.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, you will be having the conversion charges on your bank statement. When you receive the bank statement, the currency conversion charges will be levied on your bank statement at the end of the month, because you are making a cross currency payment from your bank account.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So these things I'll show practically when we post these vendor payments.
Sure. Ajay. And one more question,
Okay.
probably you can park this question for a later time. The question is if the customer has authorized for a direct debit, then using the automatic payment program, how we are going to communicate to our bank saying that go ahead and fetch this money from the customer account and put it in the business account.
For that, we need to have interfaces between the bank server and our server. There's something called BCM, Bank Communication Management. Using this BCM, the different other functionalities, we will be communicating with the bank server directly.
No, more than the that interface, this is a process here where customer has authorized for a direct debit. So that's where in the automatic payment program we have the customer also. So we are going to clear the customer invoices and then we are going to communicate to the bank to fetch this information from the customer bank.
Correct.
Would it be possible for you to show one example for this, Ajay? If
Yeah, I'll
possible.
show this.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right then. So we'll connect in the evening again. So today we'll have at the same time evening, 8 o'clock. Okay. All right then. We'll connect in the evening.